Hello Gates. Don Knotts was more than just a comedian who made generations laugh with his jittery expressions and nervous stammers. He was a man who carried a lifetime of pain behind the smiles. Born Jesse Donald Knotts in 1924 in Morgantown, West Virginia, he came into a home already weighed down by hardship. His father struggled with personal demons, his mother was older and worn from raising children, and the family atmosphere was often unstable. Don was the youngest of 4 brothers, and rather than being surrounded by playmates, he often felt alone. He looked up to his brother Sid, whose humor brought light to the house, but Sid's sudden death from an asthma attack devastated Don and cast a shadow over his young life. To escape the pain, Don turned to his imagination. He created a dummy named Danny and performed little routines to entertain himself and others, unknowingly beginning the journey that would make him a star. Even though classmates saw him as funny and popular, he was elected class president. Don never felt he truly fit in. His daughter Karen later explained that the anxious, twitchy persona we saw on television was no act, it was her father's real anxiety transformed into art. Comedy became his shield, a way to survive a world that often scared him. When Don first tried to break into show business in New York, he failed and returned home heartbroken. But the Second World War was raging, and in 1943 he enlisted in the army. His assignment was not on the front lines but on stage, entertaining troops with the touring show Stars and Gripes. Performing for soldiers taught him how powerful humor could be. It connected him to others and turned fear into laughter. By the time he left the service in 1946, he had medals on his chest and a sharpened confidence that pushed him to try again. He returned to school, earned a degree, married his first wife, and headed back to New York with only $100 but renewed determination. Small roles on radio and television eventually led him to The Steve Allen Show, where his nervous energy became his trademark. Then came his big break with Andy Griffith. Don's role as Barney Fife turned him into a household name, earning him 5 Emmys and securing his place in television history. But while the world adored Barney Fife, life behind the camera was far more complicated. His long hours and constant anxiety strained his marriage to Catherine Metz, and after 13 years, they divorced. Karen later admitted that life at home could be difficult. Her father often came home exhausted, withdrawn, and dependent on anxiety medication. Even so, Don pressed forward, eventually leaving the Andy Griffith Show in 1965 to chase a movie career. Though some of his films succeeded, audiences struggled to accept him outside his signature role, and Don wrestled with a growing sense that his best days were behind him. His variety show failed, and though he continued to find work on programs like Three's Company and in Disney films, the loneliness never fully left him. 2 marriages ended before he finally found lasting love with actress Frances Yarborough, who gave him peace in his later years. But by the 1990s, Don was facing serious health problems including lung cancer. Even then, he kept his illness quiet and continued cracking jokes for those around him. In February 2006, as he lay dying, he still found ways to make his loved ones laugh, so much so that Karen had to step out of the room, a moment she later wished she had stayed to share. Don passed away at age 81, leaving behind a legacy of joy that still resonates. Karen would later reveal in her memoir that her father's comedy was born from real pain, but she shared it not to tarnish his memory, rather to show the courage it took to turn fear into laughter. Don Knotts' story reminds us that those who make us laugh often carry the deepest wounds, and that his truest gift was giving joy right up until the end.